Roland Willits, Old Men's Stories, with my friend Bill Cadotte.
Roland Willits, Old Men's Stories. I'm here, Bill Cadotte. Bill and I have been buddies for 20-some years.
Well, at least.
And we're here. If you look over my head, we're at. Go through the whole thing.
The Lac Courte Oreilles Tribal Council chambers is where all the tribal council members meet to decide on issues pertinent to the tribe. And this is where all the action is.
Yeah. And you've been around a long time here, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been almost 30-some years I've worked for the tribe. I've worked pretty much my entire adult life for tribal government. So I've seen a lot of different things over the years in terms of administration, what goes on from one program to another, some come stays. It all depends on the politics of the nation. So it goes well with the nation, goes well with us.
That's cool. And you have a home here on the property. How do you come by a home like here?
Well, what happens here? It was a number of years ago. This was what happens here. One of the rights under the treaties that is given to us for all the land that we grew up is that we're supposed to be provided with health, education, and welfare.
Right.
And one of those things is housing.
Right.
Under that banner, then there's a number of different laws that have come into place, creating homes for different family members here on the reservation. And at one time, there was a program called the Mutual Self-Help Program. And in this program, you could actually basically have a home built, on the reservation on federal trust land, because that was the problem with all of being able to build on the reservation in the past, was because of the status of the land. But there's a special program that come in for tribal members. The Courte Oreilles tribe participated in it. And we were able to start building a number of homes for tribal members to go into and basically buy on time, much like a mortgage.
Yeah.
And so that was made available to tribal members. And there's a number of us that got into that program early on. And it was income based. We were able to get in there, and basically, after a period of years, we were able to own our own homes on our own land right here on the reservation, so that we could go off reservation and own the home. We were on land. We were the right to own property. So.
I agree with that. Well, but you have a residual a lifetime lease on the property.
For all practical purposes, so as long as I'm with my wife, we can have that location as our home.
That's really nice.
And the tribe works out for its members. Just like everybody else, we always take care of your own. Place else?
Yes, it is.
Well, maybe
Some places they don't take care of their own.
I guess you could say that. I read the news.
Yeah.
I see how you just
Of course you can.
crazy stuff going on.
With that. And I've visited here dozens of times. And usually I come in to reinstall myself. You tell them what they should do, and you give them directions, Bill, and then they go running off on their own way, and chaos occurs, and we're back in again.
Well, that happens at times. So, what happens is that people move on with their technology or what they've learned about how to use systems or run operating systems with them. They're not able to capture that on a continuous basis. We're not any different than anybody else when it comes to retaining our youth with competence, you might say. What happens before kids come out of school and stuff like this, out to colleges and stuff, before they can come back to the reservation, maybe end up being captured by some big corporation or whatever to work for them. We have to have this kind of a special drive to return back home to work. Jobs are scarce here. So being able to carve out a place where you can call your own, or you have your own specialty. It takes some time and energy. It just takes time. Everybody starts at the bottom. Who you are. Doesn't matter if you have a law degree or anything else. Everybody starts at the bottom. When it comes to the community, it's not a matter of giving respect because you have this big fancy degree or wherever you come from. It's a matter of how you treat other people. You have to earn respect.
That's true. That's true.
That's about it. You gotta treat people. Somebody will listen.
And you do. You're a good listener. Well, that's good. I mean, I like to listen to sometimes. It's hard sometimes. How about
well, sometimes you're told to listen.
Yes. Sometimes someone comes up to you and says, "Listen."
Yeah. You say, very big bat, speak softly.
That's right. That's right.
So tell me, how did you get started in all this old man story stuff?
Old man stories. I started. I told the story last night. Remember? What did you hear?
Here.
What did you hear?
I heard you talk to people from all over walks of life, trying to find out interesting stories about them.
Yes, I
Get
did.
them to record. I will be visiting your site. It's not like that's a great interesting characters. But you have videotape.
Well, I'm going to have a special one coming up.
Oh no! Oh, no.
And tell me, are you telling a nice story about your life? Make you feel a little better. It's sort of like it's a sort of fun.
Yeah.
And that's
You
a
know what?
little fun I'd like to do. Now, if I could do it to 6 to 8 billion people once a week, wouldn't that be awesome?
You know what happens, even though we have I might say a colorful past,
Right.
oftentimes our children don't even know it. What we've experienced. Everybody gets so busy in their day-to-day life, and you don't know. Sometimes they'll get involved and engage, if you will, and want to find out different things like what'd you do and how'd you do this and all this kind of stuff. That happens on occasion, but there's really no real good way to do that unless you just go out and kids just start asking. It's kind of what happens here is that if you want to know something as an individual, you have to take your same out of somebody, tell them what you want, and then give your tobacco and tell you what you want to know about it.
That's nice.
But it takes encouragement from them to do that. They have to be comfortable with it.
Exactly. And I'm setting up a system to be comfortable telling short stories about your life, and I've created 208 different subjects for them to start on. If they do it by the system, it's a 4-year process. At the end of 4 years, they will have told pretty much all the little aspects of their life in nice little snippets. And that's the purpose of it. Is I'm going through and doing it myself, make sure it can get done. I'm on my 142nd of the 208.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
Yep, and every week we have an hour show where I do one, and Jeff Young, my co-host, does one, and then I interview someone for the current subject. And then on side, I do story, and I get just with friends and people that I love or interesting people, and I'll just have an old story, and I'll stick those into the video arcade. If I'm not at the subject and I can't see one in the next 3 months that is applicable, I just grab them and I bring them into a boardroom and.
You mean like you did me?
Yes, that's what I was trying to do. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you one of my scariest times.
But tell me.
I live in the middle of the Lac Courte Oreilles Reservation in northern Wisconsin. It's a very rural area. It's a lot of wilderness area. We have a lot of wilderness lakes. I'm one of the fortunate enough people who live on one of the wilderness lakes. And it's a huge body of water. People get lost out there. I remember this one time when I was on my pontoon out in the middle of the Chippewa flowage. I was out there with some friends, and we were just out there for a Sunday float, if you will. Here's what's this. This part leads up to it. But this foliage is huge. We're out in the middle of the foliage, and all of a sudden there's this young girl come up on a jet ski. Her eyes are just wild. She says, "I'm lost. I don't know where to go." And when you're out there, well, I know the foliage really well, so I know where I'm at by looking at the shoreline. I know where I'm at. So this young girl probably must have been a tourist that come up with something. Maybe live for a couple of weeks or something. But she didn't know. She was lost. She said she was running out of gas. It must have been courage for her to go to a boatload of Indians, you know. But when she came up there and she was asking for some help, and said, "Well, where are you from?" She says, "I'm from Chicago, I think," she said. "And no," I says, "what resort are you at?" She says, "I don't know." I said, "You don't know what resort you're at?" She says, "No." Well, I told her, "Well, I don't know." This guy said, "Tell you what I'll do. We're almost running out of gas. You follow us. I'll go to the closest resort here, and we'll get to a telephone. Cell phones would be common at that time. And we'll get to a resort where we can make a phone call. I'll take you to the closest resort that I know. You stick close by us, and we'll watch you, make sure you don't want to run out of gas and stuff like that." So she did. And so we were going along with our pontoon and taking out to the nearest resort that I knew. I went through this big channel with all kinds of thrushes and stuff. Finally got over this resort area. And there was some cabins in. All of a sudden, the jet ski went past me like a shot. Went up on the line. She jumped off, ran in the cabin, never come out. Now, that must have been one scared little girl. She probably was maybe 15, 16, 17, something like that. She must have been pretty glad.
Found her home.
She found her home. So we just kind of waved and went back. Never did see her. But she was glad to hit land. But that's there's a lot of stories about the Chippewa, what happens on the Chippewa. There's a lot of things out there, especially at nighttime. And when we fish, tribal people go out and fish. We fish at night. A lot of us fish at night, and it's kind of an interesting time. The Chippewa foliage is known for big muskies. People come out here looking for world-class muskies to catch. When they catch a muskie, it's just it's amazing kind of thing. It's a huge fish, you know. It's like 5 foot, you know. The big ones are about 5 foot long. But what's unique about a muskie from the other big fish, it's a fighter. I mean, a lot of the other kinds of fish, like when you hook them, they'll dive down and try to get away. But a muskie, it comes up out of the water, and the little body just shakes back and forth, and a lot of times that old spoon, if you happen to be a spoon, they'll come flying right back at you because they'll bend that line, they'll actually pull the hook right out of their mouth, right? And then they're off and gone. So it's a tremendous game fish. Well, we do this at night,
right?
And we use surface baits, big old plugs kind of thing. The noisier the better,
right?
And so you cast those off in the water, and out there one night with a friend of mine, and it was pitch black, and that's the best time. So we're out there pitch black, and we're still. It's pitch black out there. And so we're casting out there and reeling stuff in. And we're going on. Well, I got to work the next day, you know. So we're doing this till about 10:30. So we better get going. I'm not getting any action. Nothing's coming up to hit my baits or nothing like this here. And so I think we better get going pretty soon. So I'm gonna do a couple more casts and do a circle 8 kind of a thing, and then we probably ought to pull it up. Well, when you cast at night, and you throw it out there with the plugs that make a lot of noise. The more noise, the better. So clackety, clackety, clack, with whatever kind of bait you're using. But those muskies come from different areas to find out what that is. Because they're looking for the carrier site. Because they're looking for some food too. It means something injured to them. Right. So we're looking for the opportunity to grab a snack. Now, what you do is, as you reel it in, you reel it slow and you might jerk it, stop it, keep going. So kind of do that kind of action. Well, they might be coming from ways looking for that sound. So what you do when you get your bait, you do a figure 8 with your bait still in the water, like this here, big like this here. So it's still going because the muskie should be coming. Well, it could be coming up still following, looking for that noise. Sometimes you hook them right there, right? You're only a few feet, just feet away. Well, I tell you, I was doing that. I was my very last cast. So this is one more cast. That's it, right? Did my usual thing. This big circle 8 kind of thing. So doing that circle 8, all of a sudden, boom! There was a gigantic splash of water. That mouth had been this big. Big old
Wow.
musket come up, missed the lure, but it scared the living shit out of me. I mean, it was right next to me. It was right there. Just exploded on the water. It was just amazing. That was my heart was pounding so much. Let's get out of here. I can't handle this.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
That was the craziest time.
Yeah. Some of those are big. I've caught one, not the size you're talking about.
Oh, this thing is huge.
Yeah, it's one of those scary ones. We got one in the lake called Walter. David got one on his line as big as as long as a pontoon.
Well,
I couldn't get the net. I had a big net, but it'd have to bend. It'd have to fold, and it was up there along the side. I took a picture. It was a little ways away. It's just there's no comparison. You can't when you look at it on the thing. It's like put your hand up there, then maybe you can get a size of it. But those things those are terrifying. It's almost like a shark. Big shark.
It's the top of the food chain.
Yeah, and around here, yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing fish, that's for sure. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I heard a story about one time where it says on our Chippewa Florage here. Well, Florage is basically a dam up in the river, but it's been dammed for a long time. There's a lot of flow and stuff like this here. But every once in a while, you have to repair the dam. Mm-hmm. Well, we hired some skin divers. Right. Skin divers go down there.
Scuba divers
go down there and do their work, and so they come up with the tanks and all that kind of stuff and go down there. And got the story later of what happened. They quit. What's going on there? So what happened is they were down there, going down there to do full maintenance on the dam and the generator that's on it and stuff like this here. And we went down there, and this one lead diver went down there, and he saw that big old log there. He had to move out of the way, and he pushed that log out of the way, and then it just swam away. He come out of there so fast. He says, "I'm not doing this." He must have saw one hell of a big fish.
Jesus, yes. You have sturgeon?
He thought it could have been. It could have been a 5 or 6 foot sturgeon in there or something. He saw that, it scared the hell out of him. Sturgeon is a pretty prehistoric looking fish.
Yeah, mean.
It is. It's a bottom feeder, but still, it looks pretty nasty. So it's got that exterior skeleton on it. So he must have hit one of them sturgeons or something like that. And just swam away from him. He wasn't pulling maintenance on that dam.
Wow.
But that's just one of there's hundreds of stories like that.
That's good. Okay, well, we're gonna cut it off now, and you say Bill Cadotte, All Men's Stories.
Bill Cadotte, All Men's Stories.
Oh!
That's a pleasure, Roland. Take care.
Old Men's Stories. One more at the Lac Courte Oreilles